Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has visited troops on the southern front line. While his army battles a Russian onslaught in the Donbas region, Ukrainian forces have also been fighting off attempts by Russia to seize more territory near the southern cities of Mykolaiv and Odesa. With little change to frontline positions in recent days, the head of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, says the war could go on for years.
Inspecting the devastation with his own eyes. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy on his first tour of the southern front. In the strategic port of Odesa and the embattled city of Mykolaiv, the president awarded medals to the soldiers and doctors defending the front lines. His visit comes only a day after a Russian strike killed 2 people and injured 20 in Mykolaiv. Despite constant Russian shelling in Ukraine's south, the main conflict remains focused on the Donbas in the east.
The focus of the invaders is now on the cities of Sverdlovsk and Bakhmut. To improve the tactical position, the enemy tried to conduct assault operations outside the city, but was unsuccessful.
Over the past few months, Russia has taken control of almost all of the eastern Luhansk province, largely due to an overwhelming artillery advantage. Outnumbered and outgunned, Ukraine has repeatedly urged the West to send heavier weapons to the front lines.
We have good weapons, but we need much better ones. We need artillery that shoots further. Our technology dates back to the 80s. We take care of it often, but it still gets broken.
Western deliveries of heavy artillery have taken time, but some, including these US-made howitzers, are already having an impact on the battlefield.
The difference between the weapons we had before and the new ones, this cannon is much more precise. It shoots faster and it's simpler to operate. And because it's lower to the ground, it's easier to camouflage it.
As the war increasingly becomes a battle of artillery, Western military supplies are ever more critical. But for the Ukrainian troops holding on in the Donbas, the weapons aren't coming fast enough.
Well, let's go to DW correspondent Emmanuel Shaz, who's in Kyiv. Good to see you, Emmanuel. Now, Volodymyr Zelenskyy has travelled to the southern front line for the first time. How important is this for Ukrainians to see their president leaving the capital?
Well, Volodymyr Zelenskyy is the president of all of Ukrainians, not just people based in Kiev or people who have had to flee the country following this war. And he is very much proving it by this visit on the southern front, which has been under nearly constant shelling, which has suffered heavy fighting and, of course, heavy losses for the Ukrainian army. You have to keep in mind that there's at least 100 Ukrainian soldiers, maybe much more, dying on a daily basis. So I think it's quite important that the president is coming to visit the troops to boost their morale, and also he was handing out some medals to some soldiers who had been injured, but also for civilians. It's important that they don't only see their president giving addresses from the presidential palace, posting his addresses on social media. It's important for Ukrainians to see that their president is very much hands-on and is pretty much on their side, because, you know, there's a huge difference in this war about what is happening in the eastern front and on the southern front compared to places that feel relatively safer. Like here in Kiev, life is, of course, not normal because everybody is very much aware there's a war going on, but we're not under constant shelling, just like in other parts of the country. So very significant visit today.
Now, NATO General Secretary Jens Stoltenberg told a German newspaper today that the war in Ukraine could last years. How much of a blow is this for Ukrainians, and is there much discussion on what that might look like for Ukraine?
What really struck me when I was talking to people here is that they are determined to not stop fighting until the last Russian soldier will have left the country. That's what Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, was saying yesterday. He was saying, well, Ukraine will only go back at the negotiation table when the fighting will have ended and when all the Russian soldiers would have left Ukrainian. So this just shows you just how determined people are. You have to keep in mind that Ukraine isn't the aggressor in that conflict. It's defending its land, it's defending its culture. So there's an incredible sentiment of resilience, of determination to fight no matter the cost. Unfortunately, the cost is very, very high, not just for soldiers. There's also countless civilians who are dying on a daily basis here in Ukraine.
Emmanuel Shaz in Kyiv, thank you.